All right. We are continuing this conversation. I just started a new thread. So just give us a couple of minutes until we get it all back up and running. Yeah, we're having some internet issues right now. Okay. They can't keep a good man down. Where there's a will, there is a way. Okay. Thank you very much. If, as you all are being patient with me, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ever since that bad storm, our internet has not been the most reliable as of late, but we're going to still make it do what it do, as they say. Hey, Leah Austin, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry we're having some technical difficulties right now, but hopefully we've gotten through all of that. Hopefully, God willing. All right. As you come into the room, I see that there are a couple of people joining us. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. Before we get started, can you all hear me okay? Can you hear me well? Any issues with the sound, the video, anything like that before we go any further? Hey, what's going on, Budget? What's happening? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much. All righty, Free True Brand. Thank you so much for coming to visit us on one of. I'm sure some of you had. Thank you all. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Easter. I'm sure all of you had other things that you probably had we were committed to, but you decided to spend these next 30, 40 minutes with me, and I promise you I'm not going to waste your time. We're going to just jump straight into the material again. So I'm going to restate what I was saying before we started this new link. Rejection has gotten really bad PR. It's gotten bad press releases because rejection is usually understood in terms of bad experiences. The purpose of today's talk is to reshape, reframe, reorganize how we understand rejection. Now, first and foremost, let me tell you, I'm going to start off with a little quick story about myself. For about 2 years, remember when I told you that I was going through something called the dark night of the soul, as we discussed 2 weeks ago? Well, during that time, I was unemployed and I was looking for work. And for almost 2 years straight, nothing but no's, back to back no's. Thank you for applying, but we chose another candidate. Thank you for your interest, but unfortunately, your credentials or skills aren't as highly qualified as someone else. I dealt with that for 2 years, and I internalized a lot of that in terms of thinking about what am I doing wrong? What is wrong with me? What am why am I not being chosen? Is it because I'm a man? Is it because I'm old? Is it because I'm ugly? Is it because I'm black? Is it because I don't have any hair? whatever the case may be, I wasn't chosen. And after I kept getting rejected over and over and over, I started internalizing those emotions. So, what we're going to do is if you're experiencing anything like that, or if you have experienced anything like that, please, by all means, tonight's talk is for you because I believe I probably would have handled a lot of those situations where when I was rejected less personal, and I would not have internalized a lot of those things. So let's go ahead and jump into the material again. And thank you all again. So rejection is defined as the act of refusing to accept something or someone. It's also defined as the dismissal of an idea. And then lastly, there's a definition that says rejection is the feeling of being refused or dismissed. This can be emotionally painful because once you're rejected, it can lead to sadness, loneliness, and in some cases, anger. Now, depending on your type of personality, your character, you may experience the sadness and the depression, or you may experience the anger. One is not better than the other. They're actually flip sides of the same coin. So, whatever your style of coping with rejection is, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, don't think that, oh, you're such a bad person because I handle it this way, or I should perhaps, maybe I should be more angry, get a little bit more grit about myself. It's just your style, it's just your coping style. And it has a lot to do with your how you were raised as a child and taught as a child and potty trained as a child and reprimanded as a child. And we're not going to get into all of that tonight, but just know anger or sadness usually are our initial responses. Rejection opens up a lot of past trauma that we haven't resolved in our lives. And a lot of times, whenever there's some type of trauma healing, they begin to address what happened. Once they address what happened, then they teach you coping mechanisms to understand and go forward with your life. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to pull the root up. We're going to pull it up by the root tonight. And when we pull it up by the root tonight, and I really mean this, after we're finished with this conversation, I assure you that you will not look at rejection in the same manner again. It will not affect you in the same way again. One of the things that you must understand about rejection is you cannot take it personal. And that's when a lot of our drug habits arise, our addictions arise, uh, low self esteem. Because as we stated earlier, 2 weeks ago, and before that, rejection is tied closely to a lot of our genetic coding, where rejection meant almost certain death during a specific time in human evolution. Because if you were rejected or ostracized from the group, it was the group that allowed you to remain alive and stay safe. But when you were rejected, then you were excommunicated from the group, which lessened your chances for survival. If you'd like to know more about that, I would suggest you study anthropology, or you can look at some of our previous episodes. Now, rejection is not personal, and it's simply meaning that it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. You simply were not the proper fit for that particular situation. That's all rejection is. Now, You may say, well, I've gotten rejected a whole lot. I've experienced rejection throughout my life. How do I manage that? How do I cope with that? We're talking about it right now. Understand, rejection is not personal. It just simply means you weren't the proper fit for that proper situation. I remember once I had a job that I should not have accepted, or they should not have accepted me. And I didn't know anything about the job. It was a manual labor, treating lumber. I believe I was an undergrad. And because I was not the proper fit for that particular job or that situation, I broke my right foot on the job. And ever since then, I knew then this line of work is not for me. And that taught me a really important lesson that sometimes no is good. Yes may not be as advantageous just simply because they're letting you in. Once you're in, you may realize, oh my goodness, this is not where I belong. Rejection is something when you're told no, not allowed access, not given something. Think of rejection as an opportunity to learn. It is something that you can grow from. And rejection will let you know, hey, you need to focus more on your strengths and keep putting yourself out there, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. If someone tells you no, do not allow that to discourage you. It simply means this wasn't for you. So I'll knock at the next door and find someone that may find what we're talking about, what I'm selling, what I am offering. I'm asking this woman out on a date. I am doing this, X, Y, and Z. I'm applying for this job. I'm trying to get into this school, whatever the case may be. Just because they told you no, do not internalize those feelings of rejection and say something's wrong with you. Just simply means that wasn't the woman for you. That wasn't the school for you. That wasn't the church for you. That wasn't the job for you. That's all it's saying. It's really saving you a lot of headache in the long run. Because how many times have you accepted, let's go back to occupation, accepted a job and been miserable, totally miserable? How many times have you gotten into a relationship with someone and you're like, I thought that's what I wanted, but no, I should have thought this one through a little bit better? Because they told you yes. Had they told you no, you would have internalized those feelings and went on your way, and God willing, to the next individual. So you have to literally, absolutely, been there before. Absolutely, absolutely. Rejection is a, thank you so much, Free True Brand. Rejection is a good thing. Now, if when I say rejection is a good thing, what do I mean by rejection? Now, before we go any further, because this is actually my favorite part of the talk, let's make sure we cover the basics. Rejection is not a character defect, a personality flaw. That's not what it is. Rejection is an opportunity for you to learn from the experience. And we're going to talk about that part a little bit later. Rejection is a positive, and it allows you to focus on your strengths and move forward and continually put yourself out there in the public arena. Now, think about the last time someone told you no, or there's something that you really wanted. Let's just think about something or someone that you really, really wanted, and you couldn't have it. You weren't allowed to move forward. We used to call that like a broken heart, right? Well, if that happens enough times, we would start developing negative self images. We start developing negative self talk mentally. We start having low self-esteem because last night I went and I tried to meet 4 or 5 different, people, and all 5 of them told me no. And what you're going to do is you're going to start thinking like this when that happens. This is exactly how you think. We all do, so don't personalize it. Person number 1 told me no. Person number 2 told me no. Person number 3 told me no. What is wrong with me? Is it my breath? Am I not acceptable? Maybe I should be what they're looking for. And now you're about to fall into the hands of a narcissist, because narcissists will pick up on that energy. They will pick up on those emotions, because narcissists are emotional wolves. They are financial vampires, and they're always looking for the weak link to attach itself to and drain that supply until it's no more use, because you're gullible, because your esteem is low. We know the first 3 girls told you no, and I'm catching you now on the slide. Your stocks are sliding, and here I am. I got an opportunity to catch this person, and now that I can use that moment, use that opportunity to my advantage, you're going to find yourselves in the hands of someone that may not deserve you. As a matter of fact, they don't deserve you. But you went that direction because you were rejected so much, you jumped at the opportunity of the first person that told you yes without really considering it. Let's look at rejection like this. Rejection is inevitable. Rejection and handling rejection is a skill. It's a skill like any other skill. And just think of rejection as practice makes perfect. If practicing makes perfect in baseball makes me a better baseball player, if practice makes me better or perfect, and I'm trying to develop my business acumen or my social skills, and I see the results of practicing certain things to be able to speak better in public, in front of other people, have a better self-image. If practice makes perfect, then when it comes to rejection, the more rejection you get, the more inoculated you'll become against it. The more used to it you will become to it. It will no longer affect you because it happens so much. What you're going to start doing is this. Okay, they rejected me, but why? And when you start looking at the why they rejected you, you say, okay, you know what? Maybe I would have done a little bit better had I prepared myself. Maybe I got an F and was rejected by the, well, I shouldn't say by the teacher, but I got an F and was rejected from continuing my education, not because I'm not intelligent, but I didn't prepare myself. Maybe I got rejected because when I walked out the door to present myself to the entire world, I didn't look in the mirror. Those are things you have control over. Okay. Now, what if you're doing everything right? Let's take this podcast, for instance. I came prepared to talk to myself for the next 2 years because I came prepared that people were not going to be interested. Exactly. People were not, that's exactly right, Budget. You can turn left instead of right. Control exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you know you're doing everything right, when you get that rejection, then you have to remember you miss 100% of the shots you never take. And if you allow rejection to affect your emotional capacity or stability, then you will become afraid, and fear will then reinforce you not taking any additional steps to reach your goal, to bring your truth to fruition, to bring your dream to light. Because not rejection, but the fear of rejection is holding you back. But you have to look at it like this. This is the way I look at it now. When I'm rejected, it's kind of like how Budget Do It Yourself Bill said. When I'm rejected, I'm thinking like, at least I tried. Everybody's going to fail, but at least I tried. Absolutely. You keep doing the work, the people will come. The right people will be drawn to the message and the authenticity of the presenter. Absolutely true, free and true. You should come and do this show tonight. But and I appreciate your responses. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. But again, rejection. When that fear of rejection takes the place of your enthusiasm that may put you in a situation where you may get rejected, now you got real problems because you're internalizing, again, all of those negative emotions, negative self-talk, and you're saying something is wrong with me rather than just accepting rejection as a natural part of life. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And that's okay. And when you're okay with it, everything is okay. It gives you a freedom that I cannot, I can. Hello, Veronica. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I literally, once you're okay with not being accepted or being rejected, it gives you a freedom because you do not have to obey the rules that people try to put onto you. Because let's make sure we understand one thing about life. None of us know what we're doing. We're playing this whole thing called life by ear. And you have to understand that. When fear wins because of the fear of failure, you will stop trying new things. That means you will not experiment. You will not take chances. And any billionaire, millionaire for that matter, will tell you the first thing you're going to have to do is take chances, big ones at that. The bigger the chance, the bigger the reward, or the bigger the fail. So it is what it is. You rejection or failure is a natural part of life. What is not a natural part of life is when you allow yourself to get stuck there. And you know what's keeping you stuck there? Thank you for saying it. The fear, not the rejection, the fear of the rejection. But you know, since rejection is the natural part of life, be happy that you're actually putting yourself out there. Like, follow me, like, listen to me, family. If you're being rejected or you have been rejected, you can only reject something that has been offered or put out there, if you will. And if you have the ability to continually put yourself out there and at the mercy of public ridicule, because there is something in your mind or in your heart that you believe in so strongly that you are willing to make yourself look like a fool, and you will not allow the laughs to affect your ability to continue towards your goal. That's having power over rejection, because rejection can only happen when you market yourself out there. Someone has to tell you, no, sir, I don't want to eat whatever it is you're trying to serve me. I had to first offer you something to eat in order for you to decline it. And it doesn't mean you're not a good cook. For all you know, maybe they're fasting. But the first thing we do is we say, oh my God, maybe it doesn't smell good. Maybe it's not prepared right. Maybe I didn't plate it well. Maybe I didn't present it properly. Maybe it was cold. Maybe. And when all of those maybe start going around your head, guess what's going to start happening? That's right. Fear, depression, fear of abandonment, disillusionment. You're going to start questioning, why am I doing this? This is the God honest truth, y'all. Over these past 2 weeks, between doing the dark night of the soul And during this show, I started not to do this podcast any further because I really sat there and said, I don't know what value I'm bringing. You know, maybe I'm just spinning my wheels. Maybe I should do something else. And all of those internal voices started happening. But then something very important occurred. I encouraged myself beyond the rejection because I allowed rejection to be an opportunity to improve. Sometimes you may get rejected because of a personality clash. Like, you ever been like, man, I don't know what it is about that person, man, but we just do not click. They just, I don't know what it is, just everything that they say, every word that come out their mouth, the stuff they talk about, the things they even find interesting. I'm not feeling it. I'm out. Click. Kind of like how some of the people did on the podcast that was watching earlier. But that's okay. That's okay because that's normal. That kind of rejection happens all throughout and it will always occur because it's natural and they don't have to accept it. They don't have to watch it. Nor does it mean it doesn't mean that you're not a valuable asset. It doesn't mean that what you're saying isn't relevant or important. It simply means it wasn't for them. So you won't take it personal. And when you're rejected from that point, that's one way of looking at it. But then you also got to remember that sometimes we get rejected because there's something for us to learn. Sometimes rejection means you're doing everything right. You're talking right. You're dressing right. You're enunciating all of your words. You have the $1 million smile. And for some reason, it's just not clicking. It's not taking hold. You may internalize that and think of it in terms of rejection, but let me tell you what that is. Sometimes rejection means you are just not ready for what you are attempting to pursue or accomplish as of this time. Or it could be the environment or where you were trying to go and what you were trying to do was not ready for you. Can you imagine all of the destruction and the damage you could cause and do harm to yourself by internalizing rejection in terms of it's a character or personality defect? When that is not the case, you may be on the right road doing everything right. And that rejection, you're internalizing it. And it's not that something's wrong with you, it may be something wrong with them or it. And now the time isn't right. If you pull a fruit off of the tree before it is ready, it doesn't taste good. If you pull a fruit off a tree and it's been there too long and it's past its usefulness, it rottens. If you pull it off and consume it when it's time, that's when it's sweet. That's how you have to think of rejection in comparison to your road towards success. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Towards success. Sometimes rejection is also sending you. Now, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Sometimes rejection is occurring only because you are being sent somewhere else better. There have been times when rejection hurts so bad and you know exactly what you need, and you know exactly what you want, and you've done all of the homework and all of the research and dotted your I's and crossed your T's. And when those needs of yours are not met, it can cause you to analyze or second guess. Am I pursuing a worthy goal that I am committed to bring into fruition, or do I just give up? And let's be honest, good people. Let's be honest, family. Most of us give up. Most of us give up right before we're about to cross the threshold towards success or make the breakthrough. And that's the very moment that you give up. Interesting enough, what you may not realize is every day you walk out that door, you are confronted with boundless opportunities. When you get rejected, or when one door is closed, the only reason that door is closed is because of two reasons. One, they are trying to send you somewhere else that you would be a more appropriate fit. And number two, rejection is teaching you, how bad do you want it? That's what rejection is doing. Rejection is you in the mirror. No, no, it's not. Rejection is the doppelganger, the twin you sitting across from you, looking you dead in your eye. They know everything about you because you know yourself. And rejection is looking you in the eye. And every time you attempt to accomplish something, do something new, do something great, invent something new. And rejection says, no, 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 we're not interested. No, 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 we don't want to talk about that. No, 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 take that elsewhere, take that down the street. You know what rejection is doing? It's sitting in front of you saying, you said you wanted all of this. How bad do you want it? Because that what comes easily leaves easily. But when you have to fight for something, and I mean really fight for it, so that it can come to fruition, you have a different appreciation for it. And more often than not, it's not dealing with them on the outside. It's not dealing with the number of people that may or may not be watching this podcast. You know what rejection is dealing with? How bad do you want it? Because depending on how bad you want something, it'll also determine your level to be committed to it. That's what I was experiencing over the previous 2 weeks. Get second guessing myself. And that's okay. Don't look at me. Look at you. How many times have you second guessed yourself? How many times have you doubted yourself? That's natural. How many times were you like, man, I really would do it, but I don't think they interested or want to hear it, or they gonna slam the doors in my face. Welcome to the fight. That's what it's all about. Because you're going to get rejected. That is going to happen. But the rejection is not for you to focus on the no. The rejection is for you to focus on what's next. The rejection is there for you to focus on, man, I really want this thing. Rejection is there for you to prove to everyone else as well as yourself, this is how bad I want it. And I am willing to stick through it, even though it's only one person that has watched my video in the past 2 years. Guess what? That just means they have time. They need to catch up. And they're going to wish they had caught up. But that has nothing to do with you persevering and pursuing what you want to accomplish in your life. Now, I want to talk about, I'm going to take a turn, and I promise you all I wouldn't surprise you, and we're going to wrap this up. But rejection has a sister. No, I won't do that. That's sexualized. That's sexualizing. I'm so sorry. It can be any gender, but rejection has a twin, and the twin is called criticism. And depending on how emotionally mature you are, you will begin to equate rejection and criticism as one and the same. Every time someone criticizes you, you're going to internalize it the same way you would internalize the rejection or the rejector, because you're the rejectee. When someone criticizes something that you are saying, I'm sorry, Jesus experienced rejection, but that didn't stop him. Absolutely, on Easter Robinson. And just on a side note, I want to just take that moment to drive this point home, and then I'm going to get back to the point that Miss Easter Robinson stated. She says Jesus experienced rejection, but that didn't stop him. If that's messing you up too bad, look, just focus on the point she's making. You have to remember, Jesus came into this world where there were no Christians. So you can only imagine the rejection he experienced along the way during the process of conversion. Because everyone that he asked to come along with him didn't come along with him. He got rejected. And here we are 2,000 years later, still talking about the preacher along the shores of Galilee. That is what overcoming rejection can do for you. Sometimes your ability to get over rejection is not for you. Your ability to get over rejection is so that you can put yourself in situations so that not only you may be rejected, but you may be accepted. And what is being accepted may benefit someone way down the line that you may never even see or know. Rejection, the power of it. Jesus was also criticized, and rejection and criticism usually come together hand in hand a lot of times. Criticism can be just as destructive if not properly understood. It can be just as destructive as internalizing those false narratives about rejection. And let me give you an example. Rejection is you wanted to go to the club tonight, but they didn't let you in. You didn't have your ID, and you have to be 21 or older to get into this club. You were rejected. Criticism is you got into the club, but you probably could have behaved a little bit better due to alcohol or whatever it is you consume. Maybe your behaviors got a little bit out of control, and your best friend, at least if they are your friend, I hope they told you, because if they didn't tell you, they're not your friend. But your friend pulled you to the side and said, "Hey, man, the way that you acted the other night, that was really disrespectful, and you were very disrespectful to the present company. And we appreciate if you bring your drinking under control, or you bring your emotions under control, or your mood in public, or what have you, because it made us feel uncomfortable." That's constructive criticism. I never attacked you personally. I'm talking about your behavior. Your behavior changes, that criticism goes away. In rejection, you weren't even allowed in the party. Notice how those are two different things. But if you are not emotionally mature enough to understand that criticism can be a good thing that will help you, just like rejection can be a good thing that can help you. If you're not emotionally mature to handle that, then you're going to have the same exact problem as if people always give you positive criticism. If they ask you, ask them, "How did I do?" And it's always knocked it out the park, always do good. You're the best ever. You speak so well. I love your stories. I love the content that you come up with. That's not helping you. That's vanity. And it's doing nothing more than feeding your ego. And I am very weary of people that are big on ego because I had one for so long. And I thank God that I'm doing my best on a daily basis to diminish it because it serves no good in terms of the context that we're talking about. Criticism, if I always told you the good things that you wanted to hear that were pleasing to your ear, kind of like how they used to do back in ancient Rome and always tell Caesar the pleasant things. When they would do that, they're feeding your ego, but they're not developing your character. They're feeding your ego, but you probably have the most obtuse personality. That's not helping you. So understand, criticism, like rejection, if understood properly, can actually help you. And here's why I'm saying this. Rejection and criticism, at the end of the day, you know what they both are? Rejection and criticisms usually serve as a distraction. And that is why it is vitally important that you always maintain your focus on your objective you're attempting to accomplish. In spite of the criticisms, in spite of the rejections, and in spite of how you may feel about them all, you continue the mission and stay focused on what you are accomplishing, because what you are attempting to accomplish is not just for you. So unfortunately, you don't have the right to quit. And by the way, history never, never, history remembers Martin Luther King. History remembers Julius Caesar. History remembers some of our recent past presidents like George Bush, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, our existing president right now, Joe Biden. History will remember them. You know who history won't remember? Two people: the critics and the quitters. Have a good evening, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Logos, Pathos, Ethos. Have a good night.